Hello class, today we are going to learn about very important topic. Today we are going to learn about cancer cells and the cell division of cancer cells. But before I start, with the lesson, I want you to share with me and your classmates what you already know about cancer. So please raise your hand to participate. Yes, what causes cancer? Very well. Okay, so let's do the do now activity. You have, four questions. I want you to answer at least two in your notebook. Please take the question and answer. I'm gonna walk around to help you with this activity. I want somebody to read the first question, and second, and third, and fourth. Okay, you may start. Okay, guys, so now let's review answers. Okay, so sounds good. Let's move on to the next, slide. With the next slide, guys, I want to remind you about the objectives of the lesson. So, students, I want you to be able at the end of this lesson to explain the differences between normal cell tissues and cancer cell tissue in terms of cell cycle and cell division. Okay, so let's move on. Here we have, the definition of cancer. I want somebody to read it. Yes, so cancer basically is a disease that associates with cell division. So cancer cells, you could think of it as the crazy cells that they don't follow regulation and they keep dividing and making more cells when they need to stop. Alright, so let's learn more. Okay, so here we have the fun part of the lesson. We're gonna have the explore activity of the lesson. So today you are going to use balloons. I know you love balloons. So but we're not gonna think of it as balloon. We're gonna think of it as a cell. Okay, this is cell. Okay, and guys, if you remember when we learned about cell structure, we said cells are made of cell membrane, and the cell membrane is a layer that surrounds the cell and hold the cell components like the organelles and the cytoplasm and look like a bag. Okay, so the plastic part of the balloon, we're gonna think of it as a cell membrane, okay? And hold all the cell components, cell organelles, and cytoplasm. So the activity is, I have the procedure on the board. I want students to read the first step. Yes, I want another student to read the second step. Okay, very well. So you are going to work in pairs. One student will hold the first cell and you're gonna blow it until I tell you to stop inside the cell and put it next to you. Then the second student is going to blow the second cell is a little bit larger and then stop when I tell you and tie it and put it next to you. And then you're gonna answer the question that's on the board. So I want somebody to read this question, please. Why do cells have to divide in order for us to grow? Why aren't we made of just one giant cell? So, you know, we are made of trillions of cells, okay? Because we are, a multicellular organism. So we are made, about 75 trillion cells, tiny cells, very small cells that you cannot even see it with your eyes. You need microscope to see it. So why we are not made of only one giant cell? Why we are made of, tiny, tiny small cells and multiple cells. So we have learned, in nature, organisms don't waste energy. They don't do a process, without a purpose. So what is the purpose of cell division? What is the purpose of having, many cells? Okay. So I want you to answer this question after the activity. Okay. After we do the activity. And so I want to start the activity. So the first student hold the first cell and let's start, when I start counting, start blowing the cell. So let's start. One, two, three, four, five, six. Okay, stop. I want you to tie the cell and put it next to you. Okay, so this is, the first cell. I want second student hold the second cell and start blowing the cell when I count. One, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stop. So I want you to tie your cell and put it next to you. So now guys, I want you to compare these two cells and try to answer, the question, that's related to today's activity. And I'm gonna walk around guys to help you with the explanation and your discussion with your partner. So you're gonna discuss, the question with your partner, then you're gonna write it down in your notebook. So okay. Hi guys. So what do you think? What do you think, happened to the cell membrane here? Yes, so if you keep going, if you keep blowing, this cell, what is going to happen to the cell membrane? Yes, going to be stressed and probably explode, and and this is the function. What is the function again for the cell membrane? To transport material from inside the cell to outside or from outside to inside. Very well. So when you have, the larger cell, it's hard, to cover this volume, this large volume with the cell membrane. So the cell membrane maybe loses, the function. Okay, when you have very large cell, what else? What else, is hard when to have large, very large cell instead of yes, many cell, many small cells. Excellent. So also, it is, hard because, if you have one giant cell and this cell gets sick or damaged or mutation, so the whole organism damaged. Okay. But when you have, very tiny multiple cells, so if you have one cell that damaged, you could replace it by another. And what does this is, is important to have small cells instead of one giant cell. Yes, okay, yes, you're talking about differentiation. So we have learned about differentiation. So cells need, to differentiate to different types of cells, okay, to have different tissues, different organs. That's, really good, guys. So now I want you to write your answers, or your answer in your notebook. And we are finished with the explore activity. So we have learned about the purpose of cell division. So let's move on, to the cell cycle. I'm gonna have a brief review of cell cycle because we have learned that we said cells, like organisms, they have life cycle. They born, they grow to the certain age and size. Then they reproduce, which is the division of the cell, and they make new cells. Then they die. So that's, the life cycle. And we have, the interphase, which is the growth stage, and there's no division with this stage. And we have mitosis and cytokinesis when the cell uh, divides to have new daughter cells. Okay, so as you see here with the interface is the largest stage, so the cells spend most of the time with interface. And mitosis and cytokinesis is the division stage, and is is smaller than the interface. Okay, so this is basically the life cycle. It is a review, and I just guys, I want to remind you, a life cycle is a life process, okay? And we have learned that all life processes need regulation. So life cycle cell division needs uh, regulation as well to maintain homeostasis. So the regulation of cell division, we have two types. We have external and internal. So what does it mean external? Yes, outside the cell in this case. What is internal? Yes, is the inside the cell, factors from inside the cell. So, we have two types of regulation, as I mentioned. So the external, we're going to start with the external regulation is usually called cell-to-cell contact. What does that mean? So with the normal cells, division, we have, when the cells divide and come in contact with each other, they stop dividing. So that means there's no more space, so they stop dividing. And here, you guys, I have really good image. As you see here, we have, some cells are growing and they keep, dividing and making more cells until there's no more space left and there's one layer formed and they stopped growing. Okay, that's for the normal cell. So when they come in contact with each other, the cells, when they come in contact with each other, they stop dividing because there's no more space left. So they stop dividing. Okay, while with cancer cells, they don't stop dividing, even when there's no more space, even when they come in contact with each other. So they kept going. They kept dividing and making more and more. So they don't follow the cell to cell contact, factor, okay? And so that's the external factor. Also, we have internal factor. Um, the external factors is based on enzymes and a protein that's released by the cell in order, to kill the cell. And so uh, when the cell gets older and or gets damaged and receives signal, to end the cycle and the life of that cell. So and that's called apoptosis. I want somebody to read. Yes. Guys, do you remember lysosome? What is lysosome? Not ribosome, lysosome. Yes. So lysosome is the organelle that usually contains enzymes, and the enzymes is the digestive enzymes help to digest, worn materials and also helps with apoptosis. So during apoptosis, the lysosome explodes and the enzymes help to kill the cell and to get rid of that cell. Okay, so uh, what do you think about cancer cells? Do they follow this regulation? No, because they keep going. They keep, producing. They don't die. Yes, very well. So I want you guys to watch this video, which has more information, and try to take, some notes. Alright, so now before you start the exercise flip, I want to review, raise your hand, to tell me what did you learn from today's lesson. What did you learn about cancer cells? Very well, they are, crazy cells. They have uncontrolled cell division. Excellent. They don't follow regulations. What are the regulations of cell cycle? Very well. And okay, what is apoptosis? Yes. And what about cancer cells? Would they do they go under apoptosis? Yes, so they don't follow regulation. So they kept, going with the reproduction, with the division, and that's, when we have uncontrolled cell division with the cancer cells. So now you have, the exercise level questions. I want you to do it in a loose sheet paper, and before you leave, you hand it in. Very well, and have a nice day.